good evening, and welcome to Monday Night Travel with Rick Steves Europe. My name is Emily Burks, and I am delighted to be your host this evening as we explore some of our favorite destinations around the Czech Republic outside Prague. All right, well, I think it is time to meet our special guest for the evening. She is a Rick Steves guide and an elementary school teacher. It's Jana Hronková. Jana, welcome back to Monday Night Travel.
Well, good evening, Emily. Good evening, or I better say good night because it's the middle of the night. So hi to everybody from Prague.
Hello, Jana, and maybe by the end of the show, it will be more fit to say good morning. But thank you so much for joining us. And some of you may have noticed that Jana is a familiar face, and that may be because you watched her Prague show on Monday Night Travel back in March of 2023. So welcome back, Jana. And you already said it was, or you are in Prague, but yeah, what time is it for you over there?
It's actually 3 o'clock in the morning, but I already had my midnight coffee, which I never do, so I'm fine. And thank you very much for having me. I'm very happy to be over here with you, Emily, and with all the others.
Oh, well, we are so happy to have you, and thank you for joining us. So, Jana, you are a Rick Steves guide, and you lead quite a few different itineraries for us all around Central Europe. So I was wondering if you have any one or two favorite destinations that you take tour members on tour, any particular places in the Czech Republic or Central Europe in general that you are most excited to share.
Well, it's really difficult to answer your question, Emily, because there are so many beautiful parts of Europe that we are discovering on our tours that for me it's really difficult to choose one or two destinations. But I love Prague. I love my city. So I know that this show is called Beyond Prague, but I have to stay in Prague at the beginning. Because one of the destinations that I would choose would be the Prague Castle, because I love the complex. I love the history which is behind it. I love the architecture. And especially during the late afternoons or evenings, when many of the tourists are gone, and you can go there and really enjoy the history and in a way kind of like feel the history inside of the Prague Castle in the evening. And another destination that I would choose, even though and I know it about myself, I'm a city girl. I love the city. I love everything that the city can offer from all the different concerts and theater performances and all of that. But I love nature. I love to go hiking. So in that case, I would choose Slovenia, where we go on the Best of Central Europe tour, because I just love the country. I love the countryside. I love the beauty of the country itself.
Beautiful. And just hearing you talk about those places just reminds me that you're not only an expert guide, but you first were an expert traveler. So I was wondering, Jana, if you could tell us a little bit more about your relationship with travel and when you first fell in love with travel.
Well, actually, the first story that comes to my mind would be when I was about 4 or 5 years old. Something like this. So this is me actually during traveling. This is a picture of me taken by my father when we were on the train, actually. So I'm sitting in the train window. But when I was about this age, I don't remember now what was the argument about with my parents, but my mom said something like, okay, well, if you don't like it, just go. And actually what I did at that age, I packed my little paper suitcase that I had, and I packed it really light, even without watching Rick's video on packing light, because I put all my paper dolls that I had at that time And I just left the apartment. So my parents were just crazy surprised, like, she's really going on her own. So that would be the first story that I remember. But traveling during my childhood was mostly around Czechoslovakia at that time, because I grew up during the communism. So this is me and the area of Prague where I actually grew up. So you could see the communist block of flats behind me. So I grew up in one of those, kind of like the middle one, which is behind that old car from the 80s. But the first big trip to a free country after the fall of the Iron Curtain was in the 1990, summer of 1990. So this is me with my older brother and my mom. So you can see the 13 years old happy teenager. Don't take a picture of me, I don't need to be on the picture. But this was our first trip to former West Germany, to actually get our first video recorder that we were all excited about. That finally we can get that and bring it home. But I enjoyed traveling since then, because after the fall of the Iron Curtain, later on when I was still studying, we spent every summer really traveling around Europe, sometimes hitchhiking around Europe, which my mom didn't know at that time. And some of the stories she learned later on, like 10, 15 years later. You already mentioned, Emily, that I am a elementary school teacher as well. So what I love about traveling, that I can also involve the kids, take them around Prague and show them the beauty, show them the beautiful historical parts of the city, the different architectonical styles, and also kind of like help them to fall in love with traveling and being like anxious to know more and travel more. So here are a few pictures of me with some of the school children from the school where I teach.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, I love these pictures. I especially love the story of your first trip when you packed those paper dolls in your suitcase. I think that just kind of foretold that you were to be a tour guide.
Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jana, for those lovely photos. And to me, that was just kind of like a perfect little spoken love letter to travel. And I think a great note to start our show on tonight. So tonight we will be seeing some of Rick's favorite destinations around the Czech Republic, as well as some of Jana's. So we are going to start things off in Olomouc, the capital city of Moravia, and then we will be exploring some smaller towns around the Czech countryside. So let's see what Rick gets up to in Olomouc.
Olomouc, the historic capital of this region, is the Czech Republic's 5th largest city with 100,000 people and home to a leading university. With its wealth of cafes, clubs, and student life, Olomouc gives you vibrant local culture without the tourist crowds and high prices of Prague. I'm joined by my Czech friend and co-author of my Czech Republic guidebook, Hansa Vihan.
So Moravia, is that a political unit or an ethnic region?
Moravia is a region in the eastern part of the Czech Republic.
And how would you describe the Moravian people?
Well, to generalize, the Moravians are more emotional and friendlier than the people in the western part of the country.
The fortune and misfortune of Olomouc comes from its strategic location at the intersection of Central Europe's main east-west and north-south trade routes. The city's historic core is simply workaday Moravia. Trams clatter through the streets, as they have for a century. The town's economy is lively, even without much tourism. Standing in front of the town hall, surrounded by the vast square and its fine noble and bourgeois residences, you can imagine the importance of Olomouc in centuries past. The people here are proud, as if their fine city was still ruling Moravia, which it hasn't done since about 1640. Locals brag that their city is home to the country's second most important bishop and its second most important university. Perennially #2 Olomouc actually built its bell tower to be 6 feet taller than Prague's. But when it comes to plague monuments, Olomouc is unrivaled. This baby is the tallest and most grandiose anywhere. Throughout Central Europe, squares like this are decorated with similar structures, erected by locals to give thanks for surviving the plague. The tip of the column features the Holy Trinity, God the Father making a blessing, Christ sitting on a globe, and the dove representing the Holy Spirit. Tumbling below the Trinity, the Archangel Michael, with his ever-ready sword and shield, reminds us that the Church is in a constant struggle with evil. It all sits upon a tiny chapel, where on the day the column was inaugurated in 1754, the mighty Habsburg Empress Maria Theresa, who traveled all the way from Vienna, knelt to pray. Devout, yet envious. Proud little Olomouc, way out here in Moravia, had a plague column grander than Vienna's.
All right, so when Jana and I were preparing for this show, she let me know that this column is in fact not truly a plague column. So Jana, I was hoping that you could enlighten us and tell us the story behind this monument, who built it and why.
Yes, Emily, because actually the true plague column is we saw it a little bit on the video when Rick was talking about the other square, because there is another square where we have the true plague column built by the same architect as this one. And they're there to plague epidemics really at the beginning of the 18th century, and the Baroque period was really building a lot of the plague columns. But this particular one, the unique column, which is called the Holy Trinity column, is the main reason why it was built actually was to honor and worship the church, to show the importance of the church. That was one reason. And the other reason was really like it was built as a symbol of the local patriotism. In the video, Rick was mentioning that the inhabitants of Olomouc are very proud of their city. So this Holy Trinity column was kind of like a symbol of that as well, because the builder himself, all the artists that contributed on the decorations of the Holy Trinity column were local artists from Olomouc, and even all the stones were taken from the local quarry. So that was the main symbol of the column.
Oh, wonderful. And this monument is obviously so rich in detail. So I was hoping to spend a little bit more time just on the design and architectural elements and how they all come together to create those religious motifs that Rick was mentioning. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, gladly. Because the architect, Václav Frender, in a way we could say that it was kind of like his private project that he created, because he even donated all the money for the construction of the Holy Trinity column. And as Rick was describing, on the top of the column we have the Holy Trinity in a huge size. Really, that is what is amazing about the column as well, is the size of all the different statues. We have there also Archangel Michael over there, and like a symbolic assumption of the Holy Virgin Mary, I mean. And then all the different 18 statues decorating the column. somehow they are related either to the Czech Republic or to the city of Olomouc itself. We would spend a lot of minutes really explaining all the different details and all the different statues that we have over there. So just pointing out a few important ones, because over there we have, for example, statues of Cyril and Methodus, who are the ones who brought Christianity to our country in 863. There is also, for example, statue of Saint Florian, who was symbolically patron against any disasters or fires. So symbolically, his statue is situated on the Holy Trinity column as well. In the video, Rick was also already mentioning the important university that we have in Olomouc. So there is, for example, statue of Saint Aloysius Gorgonzola. He was originally Italian, but he's a patron of students and young people. So this his statue was added to the Holy Trinity column as well to enhance the importance of the university, which is actually the second oldest university in our country after the Prague Charles University as well. And one little detail, because together with all the different saints that we have on the Holy Trinity column, we also have there, for example, a gilded cannonball, because there was a very important siege of Olomouc during the Prussian wars in the middle of the 18th century. And the Prussians were shooting at the center of Olomouc. But the citizens of Olomouc, they were afraid that they will damage their unique column. So they asked and begged the Prussians to spare the column, really, and not shoot at it. And it somehow worked, because the column was spared, actually. So to commemorate this event, they later on added this gilded cannonball directly on the Holy Trinity column.
Oh, that's fascinating. I love that it sort of tells the story of Olomouc in a way. And several times during this episode, Rick does compare this monument to Vienna's plague column. During the initial COVID-19 lockdown, I read that people in Vienna actually brought candles and notes with little prayers on them to their plague monument. And I'm curious if people in Olomouc reacted in a similar way. Does this monument continue to provide comfort in times of uncertainty for the citizens of Olomouc?
Well, as far as I know, it wasn't really happening in our country during that period in a like a big scale, like for example in Vienna. On the other hand, also because our relationship with the church is slightly different. Sometimes you may hear about the Czech Republic, that it's the most atheist country of Europe. Our percentage of religious people is actually really low. According to the last census that we had in 2021, only 19% of people would tick the bar as a religious belonging to a particular church, but that has a long history, going back to, for example, period of the Hussite revolution, really, when later on we became really a Protestant country. But since 16th century, we were ruled by the Habsburgs, and then we were forced to move to the Catholic religion. Then came the period of communism when all the religions were suppressed, really. So I wouldn't say that we are the most atheist country, because in my opinion, a lot of people are really believers, but they just don't want to be associated with one particular church, or during the census, then they wouldn't mark themselves as a belonging to a particular denomination. But one event that actually happened during the COVID. We were hoping in 2020 that it will be the end of the pandemic, actually. So in June 2020, we organized this long table on the Charles Bridge, when all the way from the beginning till the end, from one side to the other side of the Charles Bridge, they set up this long table, and people were gathering, bringing food, bringing musical instruments, playing music and chatting with each others, really to, in a way, celebrate that we can be together again. Unfortunately, as we know, that wasn't the end. We were celebrating it a little bit too early. But it was a nice, really way of opening up our homes again.
Yeah, I just love those dinner party pictures. And obviously the pandemic was overall a dark time, but it did allow for some interesting bright spots. So I imagine that you probably never dreamed that you could be on the Charles Bridge eating dinner just with residents of Prague, and there's not a tourist in sight. So that must have been pretty cool.
Oh, it was really cool. We were really hoping for better, so it was a wonderful experience.
Oh, good. Well, thank you again for sharing those. Those are super just fun pictures. And continuing on, we still have some more of Olomouc to see. And so I will turn it back over to Rick to continue our tour.
A series of allegorical fountains decorate the old town. Most were inspired by classical mythology. This one, featuring Julius Caesar, is dedicated to the legendary founder of the town. The modern turtle fountain is a popular meeting place for young mothers, and a fine place to watch toddlers enjoy the art. This astronomical clock was destroyed by the Nazis in World War II. Today's version was rebuilt in 1953 by the communists, with their kitschy flair for propaganda. In good social realist style, you have earnest chemists and heroic mothers, rather than holy saints and Virgin Marys. In this region so rich in agriculture, these symbols of the 12 months each feature a seasonal farm activity. High noon is marked by a proletarian parade, when a mechanical conga line of milkmaids, clerks, blacksmiths, teachers, and first defenders are celebrated as the champions of everyday society. As with any full-service astronomical clock, there's a wheel with 365 saints, so you'll always know whose special day it is. And this clock comes with a Moscow-inspired bonus. Red bands splice in the special days of communist heroes. Lenin died on the 21st day of the year. Stalin's saint was Thomas, day 355.
So in our guidebook, Rick calls the designers of this clock, quote, optimists, because the year mechanism is capable of spinning until the year AD 9999. So obviously this clock has a long life ahead of it. Jana, do you foresee that it will have any more makeovers, or do you think it will continue to serve as a reminder of this country's communist past?
Well, this is a question which is still being raised since the Velvet Revolution in 1989. but that there is even still going on a petition, really, to renovate the astronomical clock in Olomouc and get rid of the communist symbolism on it. On the other hand, the question is into which period should be renovated, because the astronomical clock is very old. It's only about 60 years older than the unique astronomical clock from a 15th century that we have in Prague. And throughout the centuries, really, it was renovated many times, actually. So the question is, into which stage should we renovate it now? And still in our country, there is this question going on, and a kind of like a discussion, what should we do with the old communist social realism buildings in our country? Because somebody is saying that we should get rid of them, really. They are just a reminder of the bad period in our country. Others are saying that that's what was happening over here, so we should keep them. And my opinion would be because we cannot just erase the history, really. They were mistakes that we did, really, and if we just erase the history, then we should learn from the mistakes. Actually, we shouldn't hide them, but learn from all the mistakes that we made in the past. And even though some of the buildings they don't look that nice, but sometimes it's good to be reminded. So my opinion would be to keep it and do things better now.
Yeah, I can see how it would be so tempting to want to forget, but at the same time, I know with each new generation that has no living memory of that time period, it's very important to have a tangible reminder of that time. So
Exactly, I agree with you, Emily. Yes.
yeah. Well, aside from this clock, the Not Plague Monument and 2 squares, Olomouc has no true sites per se, but still, I know Rick recommends a lot of travelers dedicate time to it, and I know, Jana, that you are personally a fan of Olomouc. So, you are coming from Prague, the big city. I am curious if you can tell us what draws you to Olomouc personally.
Well, definitely. Already, even the sites that we so far mentioned are really amazing and a great reason to come to Olomouc. Olomouc for us is also historically very important for us, because we used to have a like true Czech dynasty, which was called Přemyslit dynasty. But unfortunately, the dynasty died out already at the beginning of the 14th century. And it actually happened in Olomouc because the last male member of this Přemyslit dynasty was actually murdered in Olomouc. So in a way, this is kind of, to visit Olomouc is something like a must for the school kids. But there is a beautiful cathedral, a Gothic cathedral in Olomouc, beautifully decorated. It was visited by John Paul II in 1995. There are many other beautiful churches built mainly during the Baroque period. But even the university that we were mentioning itself is another reason to come to Olomouc, because about 23,000 students study the different faculties in Olomouc, and they also bring a different vibe into the city. So there are many nice places visited by the students. There is a great music happening very often in the different music clubs as well. And last but not least, even the food is the reason to come over here. And some of the local interesting specialities might be the reason to come as well. So maybe we can ask Rick to tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, that is a good teaser to the culinary tourism that Rick will be doing in the next scene. But yeah, thank you for sharing those recommendations, Jana. And at Rick Steves Europe, we really like to promote visiting what we call second cities. I'm not sure if Olomouc is totally the second city of the Czech Republic, but it's always good to, go beyond those marquee cities like Prague and just get a more holistic view of a country. So thank you for illuminating Rick's time in Olomouc for us. And as Jana said, we still have some culinary tourism to do in Olomouc. So that is what we are going to see next.
We can't leave Olomouc without experiencing one of the city's greatest attractions. It's notoriously stinky cheese.
So we all know about the great Czech beer, but what's with this famous cheese from Moravia?
Well, the Olomoucké tvarušky,
Yeah.
well, it's the stinkiest cheese in the whole country. And
Really?
if there's one thing you associate with Olomouc is this cheese. My mom, who comes from this region, when I was a kid, when she would start eating this at home, me and my dad would just clear out the kitchen. So the thing that makes this cheese is the way it ages. It ages on a aged meat. So the meat itself has to be aged to age this cheese. And then you have to age in order to learn to like this cheese.
Now what are you putting on it?
That's young onion, young, strong onion.
And why is that important?
It's good for you as a man. Stings, but it's good.
And what is this?
These are really strong mints, so you can go and kiss your wife when you go home.
A short drive takes us to another popular stop, Třeboň. Its venerable square is lined with playful arcades, artfully blending both Renaissance and Baroque building styles. The town was built by 17th century businessmen whose wealth came from fish farming. From one of the outdoor cafes, you can watch the parade of local life in the shadow of another plague monument. The bank sports a relief extolling the virtue of working hard and stowing your money right here. And a happy fisherman cradles the historic and wiggly source of this town's wealth. Centuries ago, the lake builders of Třeboň employed ingenious techniques. They transformed what was a flooding marshland into a clever and delightful combination of lakes, oak-lined dikes, and fertile meadows. Rather than unprofitable soggy fields, the nobles wanted ponds swarming with fish. Today, 5 centuries later, Třeboň remains the fish-raising capital of the Czech Republic.
All right, well, I think Jana and I have both been daydreaming of our respective Christmas dinners coming up. And Jana has told me that fish plays a big role in hers. So seeing that we are in the fish raising capital of the Czech Republic, Jana, I was hoping you could take us through a traditional Czech Christmas dinner.
Yeah, definitely, and gladly I will do that, because the ponds in Třeboň are very important for our Christmas dinner, because the Czech traditional Christmas dinner is actually the carp that we get from Třeboň over there. So we eat carp. I know that it doesn't sound really that tasty, but you have to know how to prepare the carp. So my mom, she would always put the meat at least for 24 hours into milk. So that would take that muddy taste out of the meat, and then we fry it and we serve it with the potato salad actually. But when I was a child, we had a tradition that you can buy, and even till today, you can buy the carp alive, because usually a week before Christmas, you would see on the streets of Prague water tanks with the carps, and you can pick which one you want. And when I was a kid, our tradition was that we usually had the carp for a day or two in our bathtub, actually. I don't know why, but we always named the carp Karel, which means Carl in English. So our carp Carl I had for few days as a pet in our bathtub, and then unfortunately we ate him for the Christmas dinner. So that would be the traditional Christmas meal. But when we prepare the table for the Christmas dinner, we always set up another extra set of plates and silverware for some unexpected guest, actually. And when we eat the Christmas dinner, when we eat the main course, then nobody is really allowed to stand up and leave the table, because that would bring a bad luck. So we have to sit and calmly eat and make sure that no bones are stuck, really. And also another nice tradition is that there is no washing the dishes on the Christmas Eve. That also brings some kind of bad luck. So we need to leave all the plates, everything on the table, and relax and enjoy and have a nice quiet and family evening without any work.
Oh, thank you, Jana. I think that I will try to bring that to my family this year. No dishes allowed on Christmas, on Christmas night. All right.
Maybe that was a tradition started by some tired mom, really, who didn't want to do all the dishes in that evening.
Yes, and rightfully so. Well, we still have a little bit more of Třeboň to see. So we are actually going to take a trip to the town's famous pizza spa now.
15th century landscape architects struck an amazing balance between civilization and nature, which today is a protected ecosystem. Nature enthusiasts visit to birdwatch, bike along dikes held together by roots of centuries-old oaks, and, of course, catch a few fish. Třeboň's other claim to fame, its peat spa. Patients come, mostly on their doctor's orders and therefore covered by the national healthcare system, for week-long stays. And gawky tourists can line up for a soak too. With clinical efficiency, I'm suddenly part of the system, like it or not. Soaking in the black, smelly peat sludge is thought to cure aching joints and spines. We'll see about that. The treatment continues with a cursory hose down. Its capper, a no-nonsense massage, gives a relaxing opportunity to judge the power of peat.
Well, I can just say that as an American, I have a hard time comprehending that a week trip to the spa could be covered by health insurance. So Jana, I was hoping you could talk a little bit more about what a week-long spa trip covered by health insurance really looks like. What are the treatments here that are being offered, and what exactly are the clientele seeking treatment for?
Yeah. Well, actually, we have many different spa cities in the Czech Republic, and these spa treatments, as we said, are covered by the health insurance, because our health insurance is compulsory. So we have to pay a certain percentage from our gross salary. Usually, if you are an employee, you pay about 4.5%, and another about 9% are also paid by your employer. So both of the sides are, let's say, contributing, and according to your health issues or operations that you went through, your GP can prescribe a spa treatment for you according to your needs. Usually the treatments are even longer because the patients would go for 2-3 weeks to that a particular spa city. And when they arrive, they always see the local spa doctor, and the doctor would prescribe all the different treatments for each day. So you would actually have quite a busy schedule. So, for example, my father-in-law, he was at least 3 times in Třeboň when he had his hip replacements, actually. So our Carl that we have at home was actually brought directly from Třeboň to my kids from my father-in-law.
Oh, that's so, yeah, that's just honestly fascinating to hear about as an American. So thank you for shedding some light on that. And now that we are all loosened up from our trip to the spa, we are going to take a float on the Vltava River.
Moving on, we enter the region of Bohemia. This part of the Czech Republic, closest to Germany, is much appreciated for its pastoral countryside. And floating a few hours down the Vltava River through Bohemian forests and villages, you see why. Families and gangs of friends enjoy multi-day river trips. These guys aren't letting a little rain dampen their spirits. Anyone passing through can rent a canoe and enjoy a paddle, short or long. Float companies pick you up and drop you at convenient and scenic spots of your choice.
Jana, do you and your family partake in the tradition of Czech river floating?
Oh yeah, we do. Since our kids were really little, it's a very popular tradition in our country. Especially like before the Velvet Revolution during the communism, because traveling was more difficult. We couldn't travel really that easily. So at that time, a lot of people would go for a 1 week river floating summer holiday. So we always did that, even with our children. There is another tradition that we have, that before, for example, the couple gets married, so they should take at least a weekend-long canoeing trip, just to check the relationship, if they can really cooperate, if it works properly. And we are saying that if you survive as a couple the weekend, then you can really plan your wedding, actually.
I love that it is not only a site for outdoor recreation, but also a testing ground for relationship. That's great.
It became very popular during the pandemic, when people couldn't travel abroad. So a lot of people went on the rivers, actually. So even these days, it's very popular. You can try, as Rick was mentioning, there are many companies that are offering renting the canoes or the rafts. So it could be a little bit too busy during the summer, but you can perfectly combine the river floating with sightseeing, because we have amazing castles and beautiful little towns along the rivers. So you don't need to spend a whole week on the river, but you can at least enjoy the experience for a day or two, and then experience the other beautiful parts by the rivers.
Oh, lovely. And you just teased our next stop very well. So I actually got to go to the Czech Republic in 2018 with my family, and we did a little float around Český Krumlov, and it was such a fun way to view the castle and the town. It's just a very unique perspective. So we are now going to do just that and float on into Český Krumlov.
Going with the flow takes you to my favorite stop in the Czech countryside outside of Prague, Český Krumlov. The enchanting town of Český Krumlov, buried in the hills of Bohemia, lassoed by its river and dominated by its castle, feels lost in a time warp. Its delightful old town of shops and cobbled lanes, characteristic little restaurants, and easygoing canoeing options makes it a favorite with tourists. And there's no shortage of accommodations. Our home is the Castle View Apartments. Plush and thoughtfully equipped, my room is typical of the work locals are doing, as even medieval lofts are being renovated to meet the needs of the growing number of visitors. Open beams, a handy kitchenette, and, as its name promises, a castle view make this a fine temporary home.
With the natural moat provided by the Vltava River, it's no wonder this place has been a choice spot for ages. The 16th century was the town's golden age, when Český Krumlov was a cultural power, hosting artists, scientists, and alchemists from all over Europe.
So, Jana, I was wondering if you could paint a picture of Český Krumlov during this time period for us. If we were to travel back in time to the 16th or 17th century, what cultural luminaries might we run into here?
Well, I would love to go back to those days, actually, because during the 16th and 17th century, they are actually three important noble families that are connected with Český Krumlov, and each noble family brought something special to Český Krumlov. And 16th and 17th century, partly we could say that Český Krumlov was something like a twin city to Prague. Even till today, the Český Krumlov beautiful castle is the second largest castle complex after the Prague castle. And a lot of alchemists were staying in Český Krumlov, working for the noble owner of Český Krumlov. So still till today, we can see on many of the houses of Český Krumlov different symbols connected with the alchemists and all the magic and scientific studies that they brought really over there to the city. Luckily, later on, it was also beautifully decorated in the Baroque period, and later on, the importance of Český Krumlov wasn't that big, so it was in a way kind of like left behind, even during the Industrial Revolution or at the beginning of the 20th century. So in a way, we could say that the time kind of like stopped in Český Krumlov. So when you are visiting Český Krumlov, you would really feel like you are going back in time because of the beautifully preserved and now renovated houses dating back to 16th, 17th century.
Yeah, I found that just the architecture, since it is so well preserved, it just makes it so immersive. It's, yeah, truly like you step back in time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you brought up the castle, because no trip to Český Krumlov is complete without exploring the castle. So we are going to delve inside with Rick.
The town's many tourists set their sights on the mighty castle of the Rosenberg family. For 3 centuries, until about 1600, the Rosenbergs, Bohemia's top noble family, ran the city from this perch. Its 16th century Renaissance paint job is fancifully restored. Visitors wait their appointed time for a tour in the castle courtyard. The interior gives a glimpse of the ultimate in Bohemian noble living through the ages. Imagine being a guest back in the 16th century of this man, Count Rosenberg. You'd enjoy the scenes frescoed here which celebrate a Rosenberg family wedding. Then, riding his assembly line of fine living, you'd dine here. Come back 2 centuries later, and you'd dine here. And if the Countess tired of your company, she'd retire to her adjacent bedroom. But only after a servant lit the candles on her Meissen porcelain chandelier. And of course, the party would go on, perhaps with a Venetian-style masquerade party in the ballroom. For a little fresh air, you'd hike down this corridor, 150 yards to the Count's formal garden. But don't forget, at 8 p.m., the candles would be lit for a play in the Baroque theater.
Europe once had several hundred fine Baroque theaters like this. Using candles and oil lamps for light and pyrotechnics for special effects, eventually most of them burned down. Today, only 4 survive that are in beautiful shape and open to the public, like this one here at Krumlov Castle.
Baroque theater was all about melodrama. Lighting, perspective, and sound effects were all melodramatic. Even the weather was thrilling, with machines to make horrifying wind a driving rainstorm and menacing thunder. Even back then, it was all about special effects.
All right. Well, Jana, I was wondering, back in the 17th century, since we are time travelers, what performances might we see there if we had the pleasure of attending or being invited into this castle?
Well, it's a little bit difficult to describe in words, because you just have to experience it. You just have to see it, because during the Baroque operas that took place inside of this unique Baroque theater in Český Krumlov, it was all about illusion. It was all about special effects, combining the music with all the visual effects and sound effects, as we saw in the video. Really, the viewers wanted to be amazed. They wanted to be surprised, and also, the Baroque theaters were always part of the festivities, really, that even lasted for many days, actually, and they included the interior of the castle, combined it with the Baroque operas and with all the banquets that took place in a beautiful Baroque garden. So it was all put it together to create this illusion of a great festival.
Wonderful. And I was wondering, there's only a handful of these theaters left, so I am curious if they're too precious to host any performances now, or could a traveler actually get a ticket and see a performance in this theater today?
Yeah, well, actually, they really limit the number of visitors entering the unique Baroque theater, because there is only one more Baroque theater that is as unique as the Český Krumlov, and that's the one in Sweden, in Drottninghall, actually. So you have to have a ticket to enter the Baroque theater and to take a tour, which luckily we do during one of the Rick Steves tours that I lead. So we have a really very unique opportunity to see the interior of the Baroque theater, and they are just a few performances during the year, usually 5-6 performances when they use the Baroque theater for the opera.
Well, that sounds like definitely a special treat if you got to attend one of those. And I also just want to say thank you, Jana, for giving us that tour and illuminating Rick's travels for us. But the show is not over yet. Up next, Jana is going to introduce us to one of the Czech Republic's best wine region. And I also just want to remind the audience that we will be having a Q&A session after our segment on the wine region. So definitely get your questions in to Gabe while you can. All right. Well, on that note, Jana, I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. And as you said, the show is not over yet, because I'm really glad that I can take you to another different part of the Czech Republic. We will be going to South Moravia, which is at the border with Austria, and we will go exactly to the area of Mikulov region. You could see the Palava Hills written over there, the town of Mikulov, and I would like to introduce you to a beautiful castle chateau of Lednice. Because the Palava Hills, this part of our country, the South Moravia and these particular Palava Hills, this is actually the sunniest and warmest part of our country. But the history of the area goes way back. So let me introduce one lady from the Czech Republic, because this is the Venus of Dolní Věstonice, a prehistoric statue, very unique one, being about 30,000 years old, actually, over here. But the main reason why I wanted to take you over here, and Emily a little bit mentioned that already, because this is surprisingly a wine region of the Czech Republic. You might know the Czech Republic because of the great beer, but we don't have only great beer, but we also have a great wine. And this area of Palava and Mikulov, the unique fertile soil, the limestone rocks that you could see on this picture at the distance, make the soil really suitable for the local vines. So we can see some other vineyards that are situated over here in Palava. And mostly we make white wines. On the other hand, it's a little bit difficult to get our wine abroad, because our wine regions are not really that big, and most of the production that we have over here, we even drink over here in the Czech Republic. So to taste the Moravian wine, you would need to come and visit this beautiful region. But let's talk a little bit more about also Mikulov town. And before we actually do that, one more stop on the way to Mikulov, because there is a very interesting pony ranch situated in the former quarry. But this is a unique tradition, kind of like a special Czech phenomenon. Because at the beginning of the century and around the year or period of our first republic, when we became Czechoslovakia in 1918, this tramping became very popular. The tramps of Czechoslovakia at that time were strongly influenced by the American culture, the Wild West culture, influenced by the woodcraft or scouting organizations as well. And just a little detour from the Moravia region, because I have to add this personal story, because these pictures that we are seeing are actually from one ranch that is connected with my family, and especially family of my husband, because the tramps are meeting on this ranch every month, and especially during the communism, It was very important place for the community over here because this was their, let's say, like island of freedom. They didn't have to be afraid of the secret informants, and they could dream about their future, really, that one day the regime will change and maybe they will even visit America. So they are till today gathering over there, and as you could see on this picture, playing the country music, the many American songs that are even translated into Czech language. And it's nice that even though it's been more than 30 years after the Velvet Revolution, the bond is so strong that they are still meeting over there every month. So we go there very often with my children as well. But finally, let's go to Mikulov that I was promising. This beautiful little town over here. And the most beautiful part of Mikulov is definitely the Baroque castle that they have on the top of the hill, which is housing amazing wine museum. So you can learn all about the winemaking in this region of South Moravia. They have few interesting objects over there, which are, for example, some old wine presses or the biggest barrel for wine, which could be filled up to 100,000 liters of wine. That the locals were bringing, because this barrel served as a kind of like a taxation by the noble Dietrichstein family, actually. So they were bringing every year a special amount of wine and putting it inside of this huge barrel. The gardens as well are really beautiful around the castle of Mikulov. And this is a beautiful short video overlooking the gardens of the Mikulov castle. There is a beautiful view of the area. And another nice spot to get a perfect view of the wine region is the Holy Hill above Mikulov over there that you can climb following the Stations of the Cross, and you would get a perfect view of this amazing wine region over here. And well, I'm talking about the wine, but let me also mention the varieties of wine that we are growing over here, because as I said already, about 80% of the production are the white wines. So one particular is the Wallachian Riesling, which is a local specialty. Most of you might know the Rhine Riesling. These two Rieslings are actually not related, that are not connected at all. And there is also another variety which is called Pálava, like the hills, which is really, really special for this area. But what is really beautiful in Mikulov is that you can come over here and visit all the different winemakers, because there are some bigger ones with a bigger vineyards, but there are also some local ones, like a family vineyards directly in the town of Mikulov, like we could see at this moment on this little video. So you can taste the local wines directly from the wine maker in Mikulov. And another important part of Mikulov is the former Jewish quarter, and we are seeing right now the beautifully renovated upper synagogue. that we have in Mikulov, because the community started back in like a 16th century when the first Jews settled over here. They built their synagogue. So originally the synagogue is really dating back to 1550. Then it was renovated in a beautiful Baroque style that we can see it right now. Luckily, it survived the World War II, even though the last worship was in 1938 and never again since then. And they also have a Jewish cemetery that is not that far away from the upper synagogue. We have about 4,000 tombstones on the Jewish cemetery, and many important rabbis are buried on this particular cemetery, but the Mikulov Jewish community is also connected with another important rabbi that you might know, some of you who visited Prague, Rabbi Lev, who created the Golem, legend of Golem, but he actually spent 20 years living in Mikulov. So moving a little bit from Mikulov, the last place that I would like to introduce from this region is this amazing Lednice Castle or Lednice Chateau, which was for the first time mentioned back in the 13th century. And since then, it was also owned by the Liechtenstein noble family. And the most important reconstruction was by the Liechtenstein family in the 19th century. And as you could see on this video, it was beautifully renovated in the English Tudor, like a neo-Gothic style. So something like our Czech Windsor castle that we have in Lednice. And it's open for visitors. They have many different tours, really visiting the beautifully decorated interiors of the Lednice Chateau. But not only the chateau is beautiful, but there is also, as we call it, this jewel of landscape architecture, because a huge park was also designed in the 19th century. The park is about 110 square miles big, and everything was properly planned, designed by the architect. And what they also added, for example, are just to, in a way, kind of like to enhance the atmosphere for the visitors of the park. They added a beautiful romantic building. So there is a Temple of Apollo or aqueduct, minaret, a few little castles, ponds, artificial caves and artificial ruins, really. So the visitors can really enjoy not only the beauty of the trees and many unique trees that were planted, but also enjoy the architecture. And because of this combination of beautiful architecture and beautiful landscape architecture, the Lednice Chateau and the Lednice Park is also part of the UNESCO World Heritage. So that was a little detour to South Moravia. So hopefully you are a little bit more curious about this part of our country.
Yes, thank you so much, Jana. It's very generous of you to share some of your favorite spots with us. I know I certainly appreciated it. And yeah, I did not know about this region before, but it is now on my travel bucket list. So thank you so much. And you know, you've definitely inspired the audience tonight. We have quite a few questions about the Mikulov wine region. But before we get to those, we do have a quick word from our sponsor. So tonight, our sponsor is our Seasons Givings campaign. So if you were to sign up for a 2025 tour by the end of this year, we will donate $100 to a nonprofit of your choice. Those choices are Doctors Without Borders, the Rick Steves Europe Climate Smart Fund, the ACLU, and a collection of nonprofits that serves or helps underserved American students get to study abroad. So we will hear from those organizations right now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lamar Shambly. I'm the founder and executive director of Teens of Color Abroad, also known as TOCA. We are absolutely thrilled to be a part of this year's Seasons Giving's holiday event with Rick Steves Europe. At TOCA, we know that language learning, study abroad, and cultural exchange opportunities are critical in building bridges toward a more peaceful world. However, historically, there's been a large racial disparity in which students have access to these global programs. And so our work at TOCA is to confront this gap. This summer, we completed our third annual high school study abroad program in Seville, Spain. 15 students took over 30 hours of Spanish language classes, lived with the host family, and participated in various culturally immersive activities. And in 2025, we are really looking forward to expanding our programs to include France. TOCA students will study in Aix-en-Provence, immersing themselves in the daily practice of painting and drawing, participating in weekly discussion-based seminars, creative writing classes, and introductory French language lessons. We invite you to join our mission, and we are excited to show our students that they deserve the world too. Happy holidays.
I'm Angie Schaefer, and I'm with the Fund for Education Abroad, or FEA. We're thrilled to be part of the 2024 Seasons Givings event and connect with Rick Steves Europe travelers. At FEA, we make life-changing study abroad experiences possible through scholarships and through programming before, during, and after students study abroad. Only about 6% of U.S. college students study abroad, largely as a result of financial barriers, and FEA is here to change that. For the past 15 years, we've supported over 1,200 students in studying abroad. We know that study abroad creates adaptable, resilient, and amazing future leaders, and we're excited to invest in this work and invest in students every year to make these experiences possible. Thank you for learning a little bit about us, and we hope that we can count on your support to make study abroad accessible to all.
Hi, my name is Yasmin Yamat, founder of High Beam Foundation, an organization dedicated to helping underserved high schoolers develop their will and find a way to earn their college degrees. We do this with a unique program that utilizes the transformative power of travel. Our 2-year program takes place mostly in the San Francisco Bay Area and helps students develop skills that we believe can help get them to and through college. Skills like personal finance, self-awareness, time management, and communication. And the role of the travel portion of our program is to help make these messages stick. Because if there's anything we can all agree on, it's that travel has this unique ability to help us change our perspective on ourselves and our futures. And luckily, travel experiences stick with us for a very long time.
All right. Well, again, if you book a 2025 tour between now and December 31st, you have your pick of donating $100 to one of those 4 charities I mentioned before, including the 3 we just heard from. And now, onto the question and answer segment of the show. We do have a little bit of time to pick your brain just a little bit, Jana. So thank you to Gabe for corralling those questions for us. And I am just going to start off with the Mikulov wine region. Courtney is wondering if people should rent a car if they would like to visit the Mikulov wine region.
Oh yeah. I would definitely recommend renting a car because it's nice to come and stay for a couple of nights, and then you can use the car driving around and visiting some of the different wineries. Or there could be a possibility to bring your bike, actually, because there are many cycling trails around Mikulov region, and you can make many different stops in the local wineries and as well, and enjoy the cycling around. So that might be a possibility too.
Oh, that sounds so fun. My family actually did a cycling trip in the Czech Republic, and it was so nice. The roads were great, and they were very quiet as well. So I would highly recommend. Okay. Anne is wondering if you can share a few changes you have seen between the shift from communism to capitalism in your lifetime. big question.
Yeah. How to make this shorter? How much time do we have, Emily? Really? No, because as I was mentioning, I was 12 years old when we had the changeover. So I'm always saying that luckily, you know, I was in the right age actually, because slowly I was kind of like starting to think what's really going on around me, even politically. So on the other hand, I had a very nice childhood because my parents, they were very careful not talking about their troubles during the communism. But of course, I heard enough also from my older brother. So even though I was still a child and I don't remember that much, but I feel and see the difference between how it was before and how it is these days. And I'm always saying that for me, the most important change was the freedom of choice, actually. Because before the generation of my parents or my brother who is 8 years older, so he experienced it as a teenager already and a university student, there was no freedom of choice actually. But what I feel that sometimes people forget these days, that this freedom of choice and being lucky enough to live in democracy instead of communism, is that there are also certain responsibilities that come with this freedom and democracy. So I just wish that sometimes people would remember that as well.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Jana. I know it's obviously a huge question, but I know a lot of Americans are just, you know, very curious, and it's not every day that they can ask somebody with a firsthand experience of it. So thank
Well,
you.
I hope Anne will come to Czech Republic so we can meet personally and we can spend the whole evening drinking either the beer or the wine and chatting about all the different topics.
Well, that sounds lovely. And that does bring me to my next question, which is, do you offer private tours of Prague, or are you strictly a Rick Steves guide?
No. I offer private tours as well, and it's for me a great combination, because sometimes I lead the tours for Rick, sometimes I do the local guiding in Prague or all the other regions. So we can go to Mikulov as well together. And then on the top of that, I still teach at the local school, really. So that's a great combination for me. So I'll be happy to take everyone around our country.
Wonderful. And I think we'll just squeeze in 2 more questions. So Cynthia is wondering what your favorite day trips are from Prague.
Well, they are many different options. Český Krumlov could be done as a day trip, even though it's always nice to stay overnight, at least for one night, because Český Krumlov, especially these days, tends to be pretty busy during the day, and then it calms down in the evening, and you can really enjoy the atmosphere when the streets are almost empty. But there is also, for example, a beautiful town very close to Prague, which is called Kutná Hora. It was originally a silver mining town, so it was very important especially in the medieval period, because that's where we got all the silver to support our economy, and many beautiful medieval buildings were built over there. And you can even these days visit the former mines and take a tour of the tunnels over there.
That sounds very exciting. And last question, and I will finish on a seasonal festive one. Susan is wondering if there is a Czech version of Santa Claus.
Oh, yes, we do have our version. It's called Ježíšek. So it's like baby Jesus. So in our tradition, baby Jesus is bringing the presents that we actually open directly after the Christmas dinner. so we don't have to wait till the morning. All the presents are being opened on the 24th of December. And what is interesting that even during the communism, which was so strongly against the religion, still even during the communism, baby Jesus was bringing the presents.
That is fascinating. I guess some traditions just won't die.
Exactly.
All right, Jana. Well, I think that concludes our show for the evening. So thank you so much for staying up with us, having that midnight coffee, and sharing all of your wisdom with us. We so appreciate it. So thank you.
Well, once again, thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed, so it wasn't a problem at all for me to stay late tonight. And actually, I have my glass of wine at the end. So now I can enjoy, and this is cheers or na zdraví, as we say in Czech language, to everybody, and wishing everybody Merry Christmas.
Well, Merry Christmas to you, Jana, and I hope you enjoy that glass of wine. You've certainly earned it. And yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your evening, and just thank you again.
Thank you. Take care. Have a nice evening. Bye to everybody.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we will see you next Monday. Happy travels.